Welcome to A Line Through Time, where I take the time to look through your favourite franchises and work out how it all lines up. It's that time again. Series 2 is over, so let's look back and get into some, hopefully, interesting behind the scenes details. In the description you'll find a link to the scripts and prototype thumbnails for Series 2, and I also did the same for Series 1 a while ago. Feel free to peruse those once you're done here. While I was working on the Injustice critique that took 4 months, I decided to hold a poll to decide which series I'd cover first in Series 2. Metal Gear was the clear winner with 10 of the 12 votes by the end of the first day, so that episode should have gone into production in late March, but as I said in the infamous episode, it came to my attention that Metal Gear's 30th anniversary was coming up in July, which seemed like the ideal time. I asked viewers if I should wait or just do it now, and everybody seemed to agree that I should wait, even though it was totally arbitrary. Around the same time, I made the behind the scenes video for Series 1, in which I explained the extreme lengths I go to maintain the show structure of main episode, side episode, which I immediately contradicted with Darkstalkers. Kinda. Darkstalkers was an April Fool's joke. See, I don't like tricking people, especially my viewers, who I like to imagine have a certain degree of trust in me. I still like making dumb joke videos for April Fools, but I much prefer to have them be very clearly jokes with the length or concept. So in a way, the joke is that the Darkstalkers episode actually is a legitimate episode, even if it's not technically counted as one. Think of it as Series 2 Episode 0. I was originally going to do Injustice as a joke episode actually, you know, hot off the heels of the hour-and-a-half long critique I did of the game, but if I recall correctly, I brought the subject up to some friends and one of them suggested Darkstalkers, so I went with that instead. And allow me to reiterate that I did ask viewers whether or not I should hold off on Metal Gear, and the consensus was yes. So then I did Infamous, and that's really all there is to say about that one. For the video on multiple endings, I spoke about Trish's death in Infamous, but I'd misremembered it and it really didn't apply to what I was talking about. So I added the PS All-Stars and KOTOR part in its place, which came out the exact same length, so that was helpful. Batman was next. I actually almost lost the audio for this one. I found out during editing that only about a third of the audio had exported from Audacity. Luckily, I'd shut down my laptop without closing Audacity, so that kept the recording saved for recovery, which allowed me to not have to re-record about an hour of audio. So I do that every time now. Also, while working on this episode, I saw the Dom's video, The Confusing Timeline of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy adaptations, which brought me to a startling realization. Wow, this is how other people feel when they watch A Line Through Time. I have nothing to say about the fighting game adventure spin-offs episode aside from that it exists. Finally, after covering every series in the poll that didn't win, Metal Gear came next and it topped Batman's 2 months of views in a day. Fuck. I originally opened the episode with this joke. I'm serious this time, please don't leave me. Please. Until I realised I hadn't included "kept you waiting, huh?" anywhere in the video, and you know, given the running joke about putting it off, it was really the only way I could start the episode. Also, in my brief dip into insanity, I originally planned to show the Joker laughing insanely before realising that Kiefer's drunken dive into a Christmas tree would fit better. And finally, somehow, and don't ask me how, I fucked up and left footage of a Phantom Pain trailer over the intended footage when I was talking about Metal Gear Survive. Here's what it should have looked like. Metal Gear Survive is set to take MGS5's great gameplay into a non-canon spin-off where a surviving member of MSF gets sucked into a wormhole and has to fight off crystal zombies. Then came the episode on non-canon installments, although spin-offs would have been a much better word, especially for pronunciation, that I only thought of after recording. Originally, the episode was even shorter with less to discuss, as you can see if you look at the script. Big thanks to Wildcard from Discord for giving me some suggestions that made it at all worth watching. Debatably. For Zelda, I originally planned to end the final overview with Ocarina and just allude to how the final battle forever shapes Hyrule, and perhaps add a bit more about how each timeline's Hyrule is finally brought to peace. It didn't seem right though, so I did the whole thing. Hyrule Warriors was one I was planning as the 4th main episode of Series 1. I realised I'd have to cover the main series first for people who weren't familiar with Zelda, and I wanted to do it as a collaboration with GamesBrain, but he was moving at the time so it got pushed back. And I couldn't do it for a while after that because I had Tomb Raider and DOA's anniversaries to tie into around that time. It's for the best though, since it gave me time to re-evaluate its place in my show's structure and to think up more evidence to back up my claim, specifically the part about Impa that I recalled thanks to the non-canon installments episode. It was also around this time that I wanted to end Series 2 with 5 main episodes, as with Series 1, and make a Tekken 7 critique, which I've desperately wanted to do since the game came out. The problem was that there wasn't really anything I could get done that quickly, and I'd also have to get it done by mid-September in order to make the Mortal Kombat episode for release on the 8th of October, so I ended up having to extend Series 2 to the end of the year and hold off on the critique. I made the Final Fantasy VII episode really just so I'd have a main episode in September, and its anniversary made it seem like the obvious choice. I also think its thumbnail is one of the best I've ever done for the show. I've never actually asked for feedback on the thumbnails from you guys, have I? Thoughts? I've got nothing of note to say about the Arkhamverse Suicide Squad, so let's move on. MK Special Forces was just down to me needing another side episode, and I was inspired after making the main MK episode. A suggestion that's been made is that I should do the same with Deception's Conquest mode, which I mentioned had apparently been written as a time travel plot, but that aspect was removed and the story's timeline was never fixed. You know, that's not a bad idea. I think the show had one of its most clever jokes in the Call of Duty episode, and I'm not talking about the Eminem one. No, the MGS5 joke is one I really liked, and I've wondered since how I'd have constructed the joke if I'd thought of it while making the Metal Gear episode instead. The joke wouldn't work as well in its current form since I'd be going from MGS to COD to MGS, which would ruin the surprise. I probably would have just acted all conspiratorial and said that MGS5 ripped off World at War, which wouldn't have been as funny. Also, The Stinger was a remake of a video I made shortly after MW3 came out, inspired by 5-second movies. And that old video got a lot of downvotes from pissy fanboys, I assume. Thank my brother Reese for that one, and while you're at it, be sure to thank him and SBO the Triforce for their help with both the Zelda episode and the Call of Duty one, with some of the Breath of the Wild footage actually being recorded by Reese. I never properly credited those two for any of that, and I think it was down to the fact that it would have interrupted the flow of the videos, but that's really not an excuse. I also had to re-render and re-upload this episode right as I was applying the links for the end slate because I accidentally put SBO the Chameleon instead of SBO the Triforce. Fucking scrub with his dumb name ripped off from an established IP. Who even does that? What an arsehole. The Neo episode was somewhat inspired by my buddy Drake Jojo, who asked me about the potential for a shared continuity around the time the trailer for the final DLC came out. I actually did plan to link to one of his videos on Neo at the end, but I forgot. I was probably still mad about that time he made my audio sound low in one of his videos so that I sounded like a twat. And it's probably for the best because he also didn't tell me about Muramasa's ancestor appearing in the DLC until after the video came out, which would have been another good piece of evidence to have on hand, you son of a... I was ill when making the Strider episode. My voice was rough, so I had to hold off on recording, which ironically started on the very day I had intended to do the recording originally, but I didn't want to have to wait multiple weeks to start. So I recorded the entire episode and edited most of it so I could get the visual editing done, then went back to redo the audio from scratch and place it in place of the first version. In fact, that impression I did of the no evidence comments is from the original audio because it was too perfect to leave out. The Sonic revisit was a very recent episode and the response is already frustrating. I explained exactly why split timelines don't work in Sonic, yet half the responses are people saying they think Generations fucking caused one. Guys, no. Actually watch the video and pay attention to the words or there's no point. The episode's already doubled the views of both the Strider and Neo episodes combined, which is both thrilling and incredibly sad. I was supposed to end Series 2 with the Mega Man episode, which would have covered the entire franchise. Unfortunately, Christmas hours in retail are rough, so there's no way in hell I could have gotten that done in time for the 30th anniversary. Hell, I only managed to finish the Sonic episode before Christmas Day because I spent 2 of my days off working on it. Then it got delayed because of various mistakes, like calling Mecha Sonic Silver Sonic due to commenter fuck-ups, which then bought another commenter time to bring up Dynamite Ducks. It's anarchy. But that's just the nature of the show, I guess. Now, unfortunately, I want to move on to my critiques next, so I'm ending Series 2 here and moving Mega Man to Series 3. It's going to require some rewrites anyway in light of the Mega Man 11 and Mega Man X collection announcement, so I can't promise it will even be early in Series 3. So instead, I'm going to list off a few episodes that are definitely coming in Series 3, which will forego the usual main side structure the show has had until now, so I can just cover whatever I want. April Fools 2018. Much like Series 2, I'm aiming to launch Series 3 with a joke episode in April. I've got a few ideas and I'm going to let you guys vote on it closer to the time. When are guest characters canon? An episode that explores the inclusion of characters from other franchises and discusses when it matters for the canon of either franchise. Devil May Cry. I've been planning this revisit for a while. After all, it was DMC that got me interested in this whole timeline business to begin with, but there's no actual DMC Alt-T yet. I was waiting for Itsuno's announcement all year, but apparently Sony decided against announcing DMC 5 at PSX so they could save some stuff for E3 in fucking 6 months time, shitheads. Oh, and there's also that new mobile game which could have a story. It's gonna be messy. Another Final Fantasy series. I'll probably do one of these per year. It's most likely going to be 10 or 12 since there's almost as much media there as with 7. We'll see. Nier/Drakengard. Hopefully this episode will be the first to feature a guest host, but don't get your hopes up. Resident Evil. Finally, Not a Hero actually came out so I can cover the series. I'm also considering separate videos for RE7's internal timeline with all the DLC, and one for how RE6's internal timeline just doesn't add up. Tekken / Soul Calibur. Assuming Soul Calibur 6 comes out in a timely fashion, I'll be delving into that potentially shared universe and its potentially split timeline. But fuck Tekken 7 though. A non-gaming episode. Yes, finally I intend to cover a series that's not primarily a game franchise. I've not decided which one yet, but I've got some ideas. Hopefully this gives you an idea for some of the cool stuff you can expect in 2018, and I hope I can live up to your expectations on this. 2017's been a great year for the channel, reaching the 2,000 subscriber mark in June and 3,000 in October. We're just about halfway to 4,000, so thank you everyone. This show is definitely the most popular and successful thing I've ever produced, and I'm so glad I've been able to entertain and inform, and occasionally misinform, you guys about so many franchises. Here's hoping 2018 brings more subscribers and viewers, as well as better videos from me. If you have any suggestions for improvements or how to get my videos out there, please share your ideas. This channel has only grown and can only continue to grow with your help. Happy New Year, guys. If you like this video, why not subscribe and check out some of these other videos? If not, then make sure to share it with your enemies so they can suffer along with you.